What happened was.
Hey friends, it's so nice to see you. It's today, the time is now. You are here and the weather is outside your window.
Today on What Happened Was, we have a very special treat in that I'm finally sharing with you my voice teacher of over 20 years, Carol McAmis, and her incredible work with multidimensional singing using the Feldenkrais method.
The Feldenkrais method helps us build the invisible instrument that we as singers play. It's the anatomy, it's the energy, it's creativity, curiosity, discovery, exploration, keeping an open mind. It's empowering the self, it's the spirit, it's self-knowledge. It's the result of decades of learning and teaching and combining this material to become multidimensional as an artist and as a person.
Hi, Zach.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's great to hang out with you in person like this.
Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you. To you too.
Yeah, very exciting, but a slow start to 2023.
I learned a new word. It's called hibernation, which means you stay at home and hibernate.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yay, sleeping, right?
A little bit. Yeah. Well, I have wanted to bring you on What Happened Was for a long time now and talk about singing and Feldenkrais, both things that I have learned from you, because you, of course, are my voice teacher of 20 years now.
Yes.
I think I've talked about you a lot on the show, but now we get to have you on and have a fun conversation about our work together and your work with so many generations of students now.
Do you know 2022-23 is my 50th year as a professional voice teacher. Amazing.
Wow. 2023 is my 20th year in showbiz professionally. Our milestones are running parallel.
They are definitely running parallel.
Yeah. For a long time.
For a long time. It's awesome.
I walked into your office at Ithaca College in 2002 and knocked on your door as a young, pretty inexperienced musical theater tenor.
Mm-hmm.
and and through our journey together, I became an operatic bass baritone. We have always done this work thinking of singing as a full body experience, because of course it is. I think at the time that was pretty radical, and now it's kind of very mainstream, or becoming more mainstream, to think of singing as a full athletic event, and truly incorporating and thinking about our whole body as we sing, which is incredibly important. But when you introduced this idea, it was kind of a light bulb new idea that all of us in your studio were very excited about, and spreading the knowledge around school, but not everyone was doing this work. And I know from knowing you and your history that a lot of times the work that you were doing seemed radical when you introduced it. So tell me a little bit about how you came to Feldenkrais and how it went from just singing and pursuing singing to singing as a full body experience.
Right. Well, the short version is that I was a really klutzy child. Had terrible gym grades, the whole 9 yards, and I was a pianist first for most of my life going to college, but I loved to sing. Singing was always just my joy and really fun. But I'd always played the piano, so I assumed I would be a piano teacher when I grew up and started a career. And I got in school and I went, 6 hours to memorize this Beethoven thing hands separately is not really my idea of a fun time for the rest of my life, but I really love singing. So I switched to singing in grad school. And at that point, I realized that my klutzy body was going to have to wake up and get stronger, and it was going to have to I didn't even really have words for it. I remember sitting on a piano bench one day and going, I tried aerobics and got shin splints, la la la, all the things. And going, there has to be something out there that will help klutzy me be able to improve the way that I use my body so I can sing better and be more effective as a performer, of course. And so, ah, so lo and behold, I ran across a book called A Soprano on Her Head by Eloise Ristad, which totally renovated my whole idea about what was possible for singing. It was literally the first book that was written about performance psychology.
Wow.
It just blew my mind. It was so wonderful. And she talked a lot about Feldenkrais in there and how you could do small movements. And she had a lesson you could try, and you'd be renovated and move better, be more coordinated, more balanced, and you were doing little tiny slow movements and lying on the floor. And I said, that sounds really good to klutzy old me. So I kept looking around. I read some books, and I went to a conference at NYU that the college sent a bunch of us to about mind, body, and performance in the mid 80s. And that was the first national conference in 1984, 85, somewhere around there, that dealt with musicians' health, well being, injuries, all that stuff. And I had a chance to try Feldenkrais out. I did a class where we were doing that wonderful lie on the floor thing, and
Uh-huh.
my whole body ironed out on the floor, and I got up, and soprano me all of a sudden was talking down here. And I'm like, what's that? That's kind of cool. And so I found a practitioner and said, can we find an empty room and you do a hands-on session with me? So I'm on the floor in this hotel conference room, having hands on me and doing a basic crawl pattern. And I got up and I was moving elegantly for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And I said, oh, this is so cool. I went home, I started singing, and I've been having problems trying to get my two registers to even out and the switch in between. Wasn't working. I look at my teacher and say, intellectually, I know this is supposed to happen. I have no clue how to make it work. I cannot find it. We'd been working on it for months. And I
Mm.
came home and it was gone. I didn't practice, and I loved that. Wow, this stuff is really awesome. So I taught those two lessons to everybody in my studio, and they all sang better,
Wow.
or they had some kind of revelation about their voice that I didn't plant the seed in their brain. They just said, oh, look, my voice will do this now, and spontaneously. And
Right.
oh, I'm going to be an invisible instrument builder now. I'm going to learn how to do this, and then we can learn how to play this invisible instrument better
Right.
and give some control and power back to the singer. Because
Mm.
you know as well as I do, everybody's got an opinion.
That is true.
Everybody's got an opinion, and you can't hear yourself like everybody else, so therefore you don't get to have an opinion, right?
Right.
And I was so excited about that. I was also so excited about being able to offer singers a really deep level neurological training method that would allow them to be able to keep singing no matter what the director asks them to do. And you've
Right.
had a lot of experiences with
Yes.
that.
I've sent you a lot of texts over the
Yes.
years saying, what do I do? Yeah.
Now I have to be a statue standing on one foot and sing this incredibly difficult aria that I just learned yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and that's what ultimately the Feldenkrais work does. It looks very slow. It looks very um, oh, intricate in a lot of ways, and it certainly asks you to pay attention to your internal experience in a really profound kind of way. And but then the fun part is it's just like the process that babies learn. when they're learning to walk and talk in the world. It's not
Mm-hmm.
different. We've all done it successfully. So it's like coming home and your brain gets really happy and says, oh, we're going to have a meaningful conversation again. Look at this. And then ultimately, what happens is it's available to you just like walking when you get in the performance and you're in the trapeze or you're carrying somebody over your shoulder or hanging over the edge of the stage backwards, and you can still sound gorgeous at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a wonderful journey. I graduated from my training in 1991. I started in 1987. So I've been doing this with singers for 35 years almost now, I think.
Wow.
And it's just been a remarkable tool. I've really loved that came into my life.
Yeah, well, and it's such a huge part of your method of singing now, and it's so cool that it's something that wasn't created for singers, but I mean, it's for everyone, right? But
Right.
it's so helpful with singing and being on stage and inhabiting character. And I think one of the most tangible ways I first noticed it was dealing with stage fright, which it's one of those questions we all get, like, oh, do you still get stage fright? You've done this for years. And it's like, yeah, always, every performance. And it's dangerous because stage fright can become part of your process. So it's like, if you don't feel it, you think something's wrong. But to start to have those, like you said, meaningful conversations with your body about what it's going through, and that was something you taught me early on, was when those stage fright symptoms come out physically, whether it's cold hands or sweaty palms or your knees start shaking, rather than ignoring it or trying to fight it, you talk to it and acknowledge it, have a conversation, and it changes everything.
I think one of the things that comes out of this work in the Feldenkrais method, which is actually about changing patterns in your nervous system and how your brain is sending signals through your body. One of the things I didn't really appreciate, because nobody really talked about anatomy and singing and the fact that might be interesting back in the day,
Right.
way back when, and is that there are really only two options for your nervous system. There's rev up to act and to do something, or calm down and rest and renew your system.
Huh.
That's it.
Got it. Yeah.
Rev it up. So when you're getting ready to perform, you're revving up, you're anticipating the performance, but it's not happening for 5 days.
Right.
But your body and your brain are already anticipating all those disasters that could happen, and am I going to remember to look at the conductor here and whatever is coming down the road. And when you learn to understand and appreciate that is part of your process of getting ready to walk out on the stage, you have to go through that. And there are a lot of physical symptoms. Dry mouth was one of my favorite ones. And I singing actively, like, here it is again, and so learning to say, oh, okay, it's just part of the process, it's part of the thing,
Right.
and then when you get out on the stage and you go into everything that you've learned and you worked hard on, and it's automatic pilot, you can just give yourself over to the character and the story and the music. That's when you're successful, but understanding that it's not something evil that you want to go away.
Right.
Because if you try to force it to go away, then you just all tied
Fighting
up
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and there's a really cool thing that you can kind of, like, revving up doesn't have to feel tense and anxious and just over the top and fearful. You can rev up to a place of calm too, to go out onto the stage, and that's a really neat place to perform from.
Exactly. That's a fabulous place to perform from.
Yeah, that's something you said once was, when it feels boring, it's when it gets interesting.
I remember that one. I'm so happy.
I remember everything. Yeah. Yeah. But I think about that a lot, especially with repeat performances of something, because a lot of times I think performers fall into the trap of trying to replicate a performance. Like on opening night, everything feels wild, and then it's really exciting. And the second performance, sometimes we try to replicate that feeling, and that's gone. We kind of have to create a new thing, and kind of being in that Zen neutral space definitely helps.
Right, exactly. The beginner's mind is essential.
Yeah.
Essential. I was fortunate to have a voice teacher, as you know, who is also a genius of a stage director. His name was
Right.
Gary Reese. And he would not let me get away with that in a lesson ever.
Hmm.
We worked all the time on, okay, you did Butterfly last week and you sang your aria this way. Now, what are you going to do that's different today?
Hmm. Hmm.
Always, always. All right, what else you got? What else is
Right. Right.
there? Oh, look, you're still walking around in butterflies' feet and you're singing Fiordalici today. This is not going to work, So
Right.
all of those things. And that the Feldenkrais work allows you to learn how to be open to options.
Right.
So while I was learning Feldenkrais, I was actually studying with Gary. So it was just a
Oh,
phenomenal
wonderful. Yeah.
opportunity for
Uh-huh.
those two to overlap in my thinking as a teacher.
Oh,
Also.
yeah.
Yeah. So shall we have people try a little something?
I was gonna say that. Yeah, yeah. What's something we can do to now that we've
Okay.
talked about it?
This is really short, but it'll give you a taste and then people can play with it. I'll show you how to play with it a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So, the Feldenkrais work is really weird because the teacher doesn't demonstrate anything. It's all about you finding your own path to how you're going to move and how you're going to play with your body. I give a lot of directions, but everybody can turn away from their screen and be perfectly happy if they want to. If
Okay.
you're zoomed out, no problem. So the first thing we do is check in a little bit with our body and just first of all feel how you're sitting on the chair, how your weight's distributed. Don't feel compelled to shift anything. We want to get to the point where we just notice what we're doing. Okay. And then put your arms out straight out in front of you and just notice if they're, mine are approximately the same length, not one longer than the other. Some of you might find that one arm is a little bit longer than the other, and just notice that.
Hmm.
And then you can put your arms back down again. And we're going to pick a shoulder. Let's see, let's do which one do you want to do? You pick.
Left.
Left shoulder. I was thinking that. Isn't okay. So just because some of our audience might like to see the initial demonstration, I'm going to ask you to just lift and lower your shoulder and go very slowly. And just notice if that's a smooth movement or a jerky movement. Does it kind of go, or is it more of a glide? And just doing that a few times. And as the shoulder comes up, inhale. And then exhale as it comes down. Notice if that changes the ease of moving or the smoothness of how you move. Good. And now let that go. And we're going to take a very short break of a few seconds, which gives your brain a chance to process that little conversation that you just had together. Okay. So now let's see. Now let's take your shoulder forward. Bring it forward a little bit.
The same shoulder.
Same shoulder. Yeah, we stay with the left shoulder. And just keep repeating that. You can take a little break of a second or two in between, again, for the brain to process. It looks like you're doing nothing, but what we're doing is giving information.
Hmm.
What's working and what's extra work that's going on. What actually do you need to be able to do to move easily here? Just notice if you might have a tendency to want to turn your body as the shoulder comes forward or not. Both ways are fine, but it's interesting to notice. And again, exhale as you bring the shoulder forward, and then inhale as it comes back to its resting place where you started.
You know what's happening to me already.
Yeah, you're going to sleep, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm getting sleepy.
This happens when you learn something important.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm shutting down to process that for real, and I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, excellent. All right, we're going to take a little anatomy tour here. That'll wake you up. So, the only place that your shoulder girdle, the collarbone, the arm, and the shoulder blade in the back, the only place that it's attached to your skeleton with a bony joint is right here in the front. That's the only place. Everything else is stretchy.
Mm.
Pulse, ligament, tendon, connective tissue, nerves, blood vessels, all stretchy in through here. So we look at anatomy models and they have screws to keep all the bones attached. So we start to think that that shoulder blade is permanently glued to our ribs, and it's not.
Right.
So when you bring your shoulder forward, you can be aware of what's happening in the joint over here and how this bone moves, how the arm moves, and then how the shoulder slides across the ribs in the back.
Yeah.
Not screwed down at all.
My jaw is relaxing as I do this.
Awesome. Thank you for reporting. That's helpful for people to know that might happen. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So we take a little break again. And you might notice that something's changed between your two shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
What do you notice?
They feel not on the same plane. The right shoulder feels kind of solidly in space, whereas the left kind of feels like it's floating behind that plane.
Yeah.
Kind of
So,
out in a new place.
as you do these little tiny movements, it starts to wake up the connective tissue, which holds your muscles and your bones and everything kind of cradled. And when we get tense, the connective tissue gets tense and we don't move as freely. So when you go slowly, it kind of teases movement from a small place into a larger and larger place, and then your jaw will relax.
Yeah.
And you'll feel a difference. This side feels floaty because a lot of the tension has released through doing those little tiny movements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to make it more interesting. We're going to slide your shoulder back.
Okay.
A few times and just pay attention to your shoulder blade and how it curves around your ribs.
Backward.
Backwards toward the spine. And you might be more inclined to inhale when you take your shoulder back.
Yep.
Yeah. So these are little details when we notice them in this slowed down out of the go fast and do your habitual action. This is where change can happen. That's why slow and practice is so incredibly important.
Right.
Good. Now, just for fun, while you do that, would you sing us a couple of phrases of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? And everybody can try this, or a song that you like at home. And just notice if anything changes in how your shoulder moves when you start singing.
Okay. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
That's good enough. Just a little thing. What happened?
Well, I kind of immediately wanted to stop moving when I began to sing.
Yeah.
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 A lot of us go, it's time to sing, twinkle, you know.
Here we go. Hold those ribs up. Do your thing. Get your jaw where it's supposed to be. Huh. Right, exactly. And so this is how you teach your body to stay flexible enough to keep singing the way that you want to sing,
Right.
no matter what the director's asking you to do. No matter what the director is
Right.
asking you to do. And I know they've asked you to do a lot of really interesting things over the years. For sure.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be able to, do what you're being asked of physically while also maintaining a gushy, flexible inside, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have to learn how to keep the external shape of anger or bitterness or I'm going to murder you or whatever it happens to be in a dramatic scene and still maintain pliability in instruments so that you can sing well.
Right.
It's quite a challenge, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, so we can keep going with this. You can do forward and back, both sides. We're not going to do it because it would probably take too long. But go back to what you did at first and just lift and lower your shoulder and see what changed.
It's definitely a greater range of movement. And I also noticed that the rest of my arm isn't trying to get involved.
Ah,
I think originally my whole arm was like, all right, let's move
yeah, let's go
with
this
our
way.
shoulder. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's called differentiation. It's the ability to move one part without needing to involve a whole lot of other parts.
Hmm.
And that becomes crucial when you're working with the tongue and the jaw and what's going on in the larynx to get those parts to be able to operate independently of each other
Right.
is a huge part of what we do in our training for singers, obviously.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so this is a wonderful way to learn how to do that. And I do a lot of work with jaws and tongues. Your eyes very important in singing. If you're
Yes.
doing deer in the headlights or you forget to blink or you're wearing contacts and they're irritating you, that's going to impact your voice.
Hmm. Because the eyes and the tongue have a weird relationship, right?
Yeah, the eyes organize your body to move because the body has to follow the eyes to take in what's going on around you. You know, you can only get so far with just moving with your using your eye muscles. So
Hmm.
once, if everybody can try that really quick, open your eyes, stare really hard. Deer in the headlights, the car's coming, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink. Notice what else got tight when you did that. And now we let it all go and feel what relaxes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another interesting thing. And you can just play with moving your eyes side to side and keeping your head still like you're doing. That's perfect. And sing at the same time. We're not going to do that, but you could.
Right. Well,
And
there's another one that we've often done the opposite of that, where you leave your eyes in a fixed point and move your head.
yes, exactly.
I
Exactly.
I don't know if
Basic.
I've told you, I do that every time I go on stage. I do that right.
Oh, I didn't know you did that. Yeah.
Yep. In the
Mhm.
wings, always.
Yeah. You find the ones that liberate you, and then you can
Yeah.
use them. Backstage, when you can't sing anymore, when you can't sing your scales or anything like that, you're still getting warm. You're still getting the instrument alive and ready to sing.
Yeah. Yeah. For some reason, that particular exercise of looking at a fixed point and moving my head back and forth slowly left to right helps me to feel my feet on the ground.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, I got my hip joints loosened up and I see better. Go figure, you
Right.
know. This instrument we play is so interesting. Oh my
Very
God.
interesting. Yeah, we've had many experiences where I'm just standing and singing in a room with you, and you say, "Okay, shift your center of gravity, rock your feet in a little bit. You're not, distributing your weight evenly on your feet." And I rock my feet in a little bit, and all of a sudden, I'm singing completely differently.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you if you're a little off center, then everything's going to be slightly askew all the way up your skeleton. And a lot of times people that have jaw issues, it starts in the feet and how the weight's on their feet.
wow.
Yeah, I know. It's a whole body instrument.
Exactly. Exactly. And so where can people learn more about your work?
Well, right now they can, if they want to get in touch with me and talk a little bit more, my email is multidimensionalsinger@gmail.com.
Fabulous.
That's the easiest way to find me and get on my mailing list. And then I will send out emails about things that are upcoming. I think I'm going to be offering fairly soon this winter live on Zoom, 6 or 8 week, we haven't decided yet, Feldenkrais class experience on Tuesday night.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, last year we had people from Europe that were coming in and doing it by the video recordings later and all over the country. It was really fun to have a wonderful group of singers to play with. Building an Invisible Instrument was the name of that one.
Yes. And of course, you've brought this work to colleges and universities all over the country and opera companies and all sorts of places. Because basically, if you're living inside a human body, this work can help you, whether you're a singer, a dancer, or anyone.
Right. Yeah, it really, and that's important to say before we close today, is that this work is not just about singing. That's just the way that I took the work. It can be used with senior citizens. It can be used for recovering from accidents and surgeries. It's wonderful for improving sports performance and even working with children that are pre-verbal, that may have a physical or neurological condition like cerebral palsy and even autism.
Wow.
So if you have a nervous system that's functioning at all, you can probably be helped by this work somehow or other.
Wonderful. Well, I know I've been helped by it greatly, so thank you so much for our 20 years of work together and to be continued.
Yes, you're welcome very much. My pleasure always.
Well, thanks for coming on What Happened Was, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon.
I'm sure you will.
That's all for today's episode. Puppies and rainbows till we meet again.